Before you toss that quarter into a vending machine, pause for just 2 seconds. Because right now, sitting in your pocket, your car cup holder, or even lying forgotten inside a drawer, could be a state quarter worth more than your entire weekly salary. These aren't normal coins. These are rare, valuable state quarters that slipped into circulation by accident, carrying hidden errors and tiny details that only the sharpest collectors can spot. And today, we're diving into the top 3 most valuable state quarters that people across the country spend every single day without realizing they're holding a mini fortune. One of these coins has sold for hundreds, another for thousands, and one is so rare that collectors are still hunting for it like buried treasure. So grab every quarter you own, clear your mind, and get ready, because by the time you finish this video, you'll never look at loose change the same way again. In 1999, the 50 State Quarters program was launched by the United States Mint. Each year from 1999 through 2008, 5 new quarters, one for each of 5 states, were released in order of statehood, or admission to the Union, of the states. 2001 was the 3rd year of this program. The states featured that year included New York, North Carolina, Rhode Island, Vermont, and Kentucky. North Carolina's quarter was released on March 12, 2001. The aim of the program was both to engage collectors and to encourage public interest in U.S. history and each state's heritage. Front side retains the profile of George Washington, based on the Flanagan design used for the Washington quarter since 1932. The wording was rearranged slightly to accommodate the state-specific reverse. Backside. The North Carolina quarter's reverse depicts the famous first flight of the Wright brothers at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, in 1903. It features the Wright Flyer in flight above a map or outline of the state. The inscription includes North Carolina, 1789, the year North Carolina joined the Union, first flight, and 2001. The design was chosen by the state after a selection process. Various ideas had been proposed, including the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse and a seashore theme, before settling on the Wright brothers theme. The Wright brothers' achievement at Kitty Hawk is historically significant. The first controlled, sustained flight of a powered, heavier-than-air machine. By featuring this, the coin highlights North Carolina's claim to an important milestone in aviation history. The quarter's design ties state pride to a national historic event. The clad coin is made of a copper core with copper-nickel outer layers, typical of circulating U.S. quarters, for the standard issue. Diameter, 2430 millimeters. Weight, about 5.67 grams. The design of the North Carolina quarter celebrates one of the most significant events in American history, the first successful powered flight achieved by Orville and Wilbur Wright in 1903 at Kill Devil Hills near Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. The coin's reverse features an image of the Wright brothers' famous Flyer airplane soaring above the dunes with the brothers standing beside it. The words "First Flight" are inscribed above the scene, which commemorates this moment that changed the course of human transportation forever. The design was created by John Mercanti, one of the most well-known engravers of the United States Mint, and his artwork captures the sense of innovation, courage, and accomplishment that the Wright brothers demonstrated in their historic flight. The obverse side of the coin, like all state quarters, features the portrait of George Washington designed by John Flanagan and originally used since 1932. This portrait was slightly modified for the state quarter program to make space for the state designs. On the reverse, the North Carolina quarter's theme was chosen to honor the state's role in aviation history. North Carolina proudly uses the motto "First in Flight" on its vehicle license plates, and in many aspects of state symbolism, this phrase directly connects to the Wright brothers' 12-second flight on December 17, 1903, which covered 120 feet and reached an altitude of 10 feet. The historical site of this achievement, the Wright brothers' National Memorial, remains one of the most visited landmarks in the state, and a symbol of human ingenuity. The North Carolina State Quarter also holds special interest among collectors because it represents a bridge between America's early coinage and the modern commemorative series. The 50 State Quarters program was one of the most successful numismatic initiatives in U.S. history, attracting millions of new collectors and increasing public interest in coin collecting. According to the U.S. Mint, over 35 billion quarters were produced for the entire series, and North Carolina's issue was one of the most popular. Its design was admired for its historical significance and visual appeal. The North Carolina quarter was minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia Mint coins bear a P Mint mark. The Denver coins have a D mark, and the San Francisco proof coins have an S mark. These proof coins were produced in smaller quantities and are often highly sought after by collectors. There were more than 1 billion North Carolina quarters produced for circulation, making them relatively easy to find. However, proof and uncirculated versions remain valuable, especially when preserved in mint condition. The composition of the coin is the same as other modern quarters, with outer layer of 75% copper, 25% nickel. North Carolina quarter involved submissions from artists and citizens across the state. The governor at the time, Jim Hunt, oversaw the final selection process after reviewing designs proposed by the North Carolina Department of Cultural Resources, and the public. Several concepts were considered, including images of the state's coastline, the Great Smoky Mountains, and the historic Cape Hatteras Lighthouse. Ultimately, the first flight design was chosen because it represented both North Carolina's heritage and its contribution to technological advancement. This decision reflected the state's pride in being the birthplace of aviation. When the coin was officially released in March 2001, special ceremonies were held in Raleigh and at the Wright Brothers National Memorial in Kill Devil Hills. Thousands of collectors and residents attended to celebrate the coin's introduction. School programs and educational events were organized to teach students about the history of the Wright brothers and the State Quarter series. The release of the North Carolina quarter also generated excitement among coin dealers and the general public. Many people began collecting state quarters as a hobby, filling maps and folders with coins from each state. The 50 State Quarters program became a cultural phenomenon, uniting Americans in a shared appreciation for history, art, and geography, the Wright brothers' flight that inspired. The coin remains a defining moment in American innovation. On that cold, windy morning in 1903, Orville Wright piloted the first flight, while his brother Wilbur ran alongside the plane, holding the wingtip. The brothers made 4 flights that day, each slightly longer than the last. The longest flight lasted 59 seconds and covered 852 feet. This achievement marked the dawn of modern aviation and transformed the way humans travel, explore, and connect across the world. The North Carolina State Quarter immortalizes this moment forever in American coinage. It stands as a tribute to human determination, creativity, and the pursuit of progress. Collectors today still value the North Carolina quarter, not only for its design, but for what it represents: a blend of history, innovation, and state pride. Many numismatists consider it one of the best designs of the early State Quarters series because of its clear message and iconic imagery. Over the years, some North Carolina quarters have been found with minting errors such as double-die obverses, off-center strikes, and clipped planchets. These error coins can be worth more than their face value depending on rarity and condition-proof versions. And silver proofs from the San Francisco Mint are also popular among collectors and often come in special packaging as part of annual mint sets. The North Carolina quarter continues to be a beloved piece among collectors and historians. The Massachusetts State Quarter, released in the year 2000, is part of the United States Mint's 50 State Quarters program, a historic initiative that celebrated each state's unique heritage and contribution to the nation. The program began in 1999 and ran until 2008, with 5 new state quarters released each year. The Massachusetts quarter was the first of the year 2000 series and the 13th coin overall in the program. This coin holds a special place in the collection. because it honors the state where the American Revolution began and symbolizes the birth of freedom and independence in the United States. The design on the reverse of the Massachusetts State Quarter features the famous image of the Minuteman, a symbol of the citizen soldiers who took up arms at a moment's notice during the early battles of the American Revolution. The image was inspired by the Minuteman statue located at the Minuteman National Historical Park in Concord, Massachusetts. The statue commemorates the courage and readiness of the colonial militia who fought in the battles of Lexington and Concord in April 1775. These battles marked the beginning of the Revolutionary War and the fight for American independence. Behind the Minuteman figure on the coin is an outline of the state of Massachusetts showing its geographical shape. This inclusion highlights the importance of the state as a central location in America's early history and independence movement. The word Massachusetts is inscribed across the top of the coin, while the year of statehood 1788 is shown below it. The inscription "The Bay State" appears on the right side, a nickname that reflects the state's connection to Massachusetts Bay, one of the earliest centers of English settlement in North America. The coin also bears the year 2000, indicating the year of its release, and the traditional motto, E Pluribus Unum, meaning, out of many. One symbolizing unity among the states. The Massachusetts Quarter was designed by Thomas D. Rogers, Sr., an accomplished sculptor and engraver with the United States Mint. The design was selected after reviewing numerous submissions and concepts that best captured the state's identity and legacy. Rogers' design perfectly balanced historical significance with simple, elegant symbolism. The obverse, or front side of the coin, features the familiar portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan, which has appeared on all quarters since 1932. Massachusetts played a pivotal role in the founding of the United States, and the imagery on its quarter reflects this powerful legacy. The Minutemen of Massachusetts were ordinary citizens who became heroes during a time of great uncertainty and conflict. They embodied the spirit of independence and courage that helped shape the nation. The inclusion of the Minuteman also serves as a reminder of the values of readiness, sacrifice, and determination that continue to define the American spirit. The production of the Massachusetts State Quarter was extensive as millions of coins were struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. The Philadelphia mint coins carry the P mint mark, while those from Denver carry the D mint mark. There were also special proof versions minted in San Francisco with both clad and silver compositions. These proof coins were made for collectors and featured sharper details and mirror-like finishes. In terms of mintage, approximately 628 million Massachusetts quarters were produced in total, making it one of the more widely circulated coins in the state quarters program. Despite its large mintage, the coin remains a favorite among collectors because of its strong historical symbolism and connection to the Revolutionary War. Collectors also value coins that are in mint state condition or proof versions, particularly those with unique minting errors or high grades from professional grading services. The release of the Massachusetts State Quarter sparked renewed public interest in coin collecting and American history. Millions of people across the country began saving quarters from circulation to complete their state collections. The program itself became one of the most successful numismatic initiatives in U.S. history, bringing the story of each state into the hands of everyday Americans. The Massachusetts Quarter, in particular, drew attention to the role of New England in the struggle for independence and the early formation of democratic ideals. For historians and educators, the coin serves as a small but powerful teaching tool. It invites discussion about the events of 1775, the courage of local militias, and the significance of Massachusetts as the birthplace of liberty. The Minuteman symbolizes not only the state's contribution to the Revolution, but also the enduring American belief in standing up for freedom and justice. The introduction of the Massachusetts Quarter in 2000 also coincided with a time of national reflection and pride as Americans embraced symbols of unity and heritage through the State Quarters program. Collectors appreciated how each coin told a different story, while together they represented the diversity and strength of the United States. The Massachusetts coin, with its patriotic imagery and historical weight, stands out as one of the most meaningful in the entire collection. In summary, the Massachusetts State Quarter is more than just a piece of currency. It is a tribute to the bravery of the early patriots who fought for independence and to the state that played a central role in shaping the nation's history. Its design celebrates the ideals of courage, liberty, and unity, values that continue to inspire generations. The Minuteman on the coin is a timeless reminder of the American Revolution and the birth of freedom. The Massachusetts Quarter of 2000 remains a cherished coin among collectors, historians, and patriots alike, and its story continues to resonate as a symbol of America's enduring spirit and heritage. Massachusetts was founded in 1620, when the Pilgrims arrived on the Mayflower and established Plymouth Colony. The early settlers came seeking religious freedom and a new life, guided by strong Puritan beliefs. Their arrival marked the beginning of permanent English settlement in New England. By 1630, the Massachusetts Bay Colony had been established, and it quickly became a center of trade, education, and governance. The people of Massachusetts were known for their independent thinking and community spirit values that would later influence the Revolutionary movement. By the 18th century, Boston and its surrounding towns had become hotbeds of political activity and resistance against British rule. Events such as the Boston Massacre in 1770 and the Boston Tea Party in 1773 were pivotal moments in the lead-up to the American Revolution. The state's citizens took a bold stand against unfair taxation and imperial control, which inspired other colonies to unite in the cause of independence. Massachusetts became the cradle of the Revolution, and the people who lived there were among the first to take up arms for freedom. The battles of Lexington and Concord in April 1775 are central to the story represented on the Massachusetts State Quarter. These battles were the first military engagements of the American Revolutionary War. They occurred when British troops marched from Boston to seize colonial weapons and arrest rebel leaders. The colonial militia, the Minutemen, confronted the British soldiers on the village green at Lexington, and shots were fired. The phrase, "the shot heard round the world," is often used to describe this moment as it signaled the beginning of the struggle for independence. The history of the United States $quarter coin from the year 2020 is a fascinating journey into the world of American numismatics. The year 2020 marked an important continuation of the America the Beautiful Quarters program, a series that began in 2010 and celebrated the natural beauty and historical significance of sites across the nation. Each quarter released under this program featured a unique design on the reverse side, representing a national park or monument, while the obverse continued to display the familiar portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan in 1932, based on a bust by Jean-Antoine Houdon. In 2020, the United States Mint released 5 distinct quarters each, highlighting a special site that reflects the cultural, natural, and historical richness of the United States. These coins are part of the final stages of the America the Beautiful series and were eagerly anticipated by collectors and history enthusiasts alike. The first quarter, released in 2020, was the National Park of American Samoa. Quarter issued in February, this design featured a striking image of a Samoan fruit bat mother hanging upside down with her pup, symbolizing the unique wildlife and conservation efforts of the park. It was the first United States coin to depict a fruit bat and served as a reminder of the importance of preserving endangered species. The design, by Richard Masters and sculpted by Phoebe Hemphill, carried deep environmental and cultural meaning, emphasizing the interconnectedness of life in the Pacific Islands. The second quarter of 2020 was dedicated to Weir Farm National Historic Site in Connecticut. Issued in April, Weir Farm is known as the home and studio of the American Impressionist painter Julian Alden Weir and represents the only national park dedicated to American painting. The coin's reverse, designed by Justin Kuntz and sculpted by Phoebe Hemphill featured an artist painting at an easel outside Weir's home, capturing the spirit of creativity and the beauty of artistic inspiration. It symbolized how art and nature intertwine within American heritage. The third quarter of the year 2020 honored Salt River Bay National Historical Park and Ecological Preserve, located in the U.S. Virgin Islands, issued in June. The design by Richard Masters and sculpted by Joseph Mena depicted a red mangrove tree growing in the bay's water. With its roots visible below the surface, this design celebrated the resilience of the ecosystem and the rich cultural history of the Virgin Islands, particularly the early indigenous peoples who inhabited the area. It also served as a visual metaphor for growth, strength, and renewal in the face of challenges. The fourth quarter, released in 2020, represented the Marsh-Billings Rockefeller National Historical Park in Vermont, issued in August. This design by Donna Weaver and sculpted by Michael Gaudioso depicted a young girl planting a tree symbolizing the conservationist spirit and the ongoing stewardship of natural resources. The park itself tells the story of conservation history in America, inspired by the pioneering work of George Perkins Marsh and Frederick Billings. The coin's imagery was a call to care for the environment for future generations, tying deeply into the ideals of sustainability and responsibility. The final quarter of 2020 featured Tallgrass Prairie National Preserve. Located in Kansas, issued in November, the design by Emily Damstra and sculpted by Renata Gordon depicted a regal fritillary butterfly flying above a field of tall grass. It captured the beauty of the prairies and the biodiversity of one of the most endangered ecosystems in North America. The coin served as a tribute to both the landscape and the wildlife that depend on it, reminding Americans of the importance of protecting their natural heritage. All 5 2020 quarters continued the America the Beautiful series, with the same obverse design featuring George Washington, his portrait facing left with inscriptions, "Liberty in God We Trust," and $quarter. The obverse was slightly modified in 2021 to mark the end of the series, but in 2020 it still retained the classic design that had appeared on quarters since 1932, though the minting techniques had evolved to produce sharper details and more refined finishes. The 2020 quarters were struck at 3 major United States mint facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia and Denver mints produced coins for circulation, while the San Francisco Mint produced proof and silver-proof versions for collectors. Each mint mark, P, D, or S, carried its own appeal among numismatists. In addition to the regular issues, there were also special coin sets, including uncirculated sets, silver-proof sets, and 5-ounce silver bullion coins, known as America the Beautiful 5-ounce silver coins. These large versions mirrored the quarter designs, but in a grander format that appealed to investors and collectors alike. The year 2020 also held special significance because it marked the 10th anniversary of the America the Beautiful Quarters program. Collectors viewed these coins as part of a legacy that had showcased 56 national parks and sites across all states, the District of Columbia, and U.S. territories. The series had not only celebrated American geography, but also strengthened national pride through artistry and education. In the broader context of history, 2020 was a turbulent year marked by the global pandemic, which influenced the minting and distribution of coins across the United States. The U.S. Mint faced production slowdowns and a temporary coin shortage as the economy adjusted to new challenges. This made some 2020 quarters less common in circulation during that period, adding to their intrigue for collectors. Many Americans first noticed these quarters as symbols of resilience and continuity during uncertain times. Collectors value the 2020 quarters not only for their artistry, but also for their historical significance. The combination of environmental themes, artistic heritage, and cultural preservation makes them some of the most meaningful issues of the entire series. Some error coins, such as those with die cracks or misstrikes from the Philadelphia and Denver mints, have become especially sought after over time, further fueling the fascination with these modern coins. In summary, the U.S. quarter-dollar coins of 2020 represent more than just currency. They tell the story of America's natural beauty, its creative spirit, its environmental awareness, and its perseverance during a challenging year through the designs of National Park of American Samoa, Weir Farm, Salt River Bay, Marsh Billings, Rockefeller, and Tallgrass Prairie. The 2020 quarters form a narrative of unity and reverence for both people and planet. Their intricate artwork, their careful production, and their symbolic meaning make them a cherished chapter in the long and proud history of the United States quarter-dollar coin, and as time passes, they will continue to stand as enduring reminders of the values and landscapes that define America. The story of the 2020 United States quarter-dollar coins extends far beyond their designs and mintage. It is a chapter deeply woven into the broader legacy of American coinage art culture and national identity. The 2020 quarters marked one of the final years of the ambitious America the Beautiful Quarters program, which began in 2010 and concluded in 2021. This series was inspired by the earlier success of the 50-state quarters program that ran from 1999 to 2008. A project that transformed how Americans viewed their change by connecting it with history education and regional pride. After the state quarters ended, the America the Beautiful series was introduced to highlight the beauty and significance of national parks and other historic sites across the United States and its territories.